a baby gorilla urgently knocked. A continuous, frantic pounding on the wooden door beneath the rustic wooden porch of a ranger station. The sudden, desperate racket shattered the quiet of the African savanna morning, where the low green grass stretched out to meet the scattered acacia trees. Ranger Ethan was instantly alert. He opened the heavy door and saw the baby gorilla standing on the porch, crying in a high-pitched, primal terror that chilled Ethan to the bone. This was not a playful shriek. It was a desperate plea. Ethan, whose 30 years in the field had taught him reverence for protocol, dropped to one knee, ignoring the danger, to meet the small creature at its level. He extended a hand in a gesture of calm. The baby gorilla immediately grasped Ethan's hand with one of its own, pulling him forward. With its free hand, it pointed with clear, unambiguous urgency toward the distant acacia savanna. It was a communication of pure desperation and profound trust. Ethan knew following this lead meant risking everything, but the message in those wide, intelligent eyes was definite. Before we see where this little hero leads him, hit that like button if you believe animals have a deeper understanding than we give them credit for. Ethan knew following the gorilla infant meant breaching the cardinal rule of his job, but the urgency in those small brown eyes was louder than any manual. The line between duty and instinct was about to be crossed. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs, a drumbeat of internal conflict. His training screamed at him to secure the area, radio for a team, and wait. But the baby gorilla was already moving, darting across the low green grass, its small back serving as a compass pointing toward the crisis. Ethan switched on his radio, his voice strained. "This is Ethan. Situation developing. Following a baby gorilla near the acacia belt. Request backup, non-aggressive approach, 20 minutes out." He knew 20 minutes was too long. The little gorilla looked back frequently, ensuring the ranger was still committed, its frantic pace urging Ethan onward into the wild fringe of the reserve. They crossed the open savanna, the only sounds a rustle of the dry grass and the rapid pad-pad-pad of their boots and knuckles. As they reached the cluster of acacia trees marking the beginning of the foothills, the atmosphere changed entirely. The air grew thick with a tense, oppressive silence. The baby gorilla suddenly slowed, moving cautiously. Ethan knew why. He saw the figure first, massive and imposing. The father gorilla, the dominant silverback, pacing back and forth near a rocky outcrop. He was a force of nature, every ounce of his powerful body radiating anxiety and threat. His sheer presence was a thunderstorm of potential violence. His dark eyes, usually focused on troop safety, were wild and agitated, locking instantly onto Ethan. This was the point of no return. Ethan's official protocol stipulated that a solo ranger should never approach an agitated silverback. The father gorilla's low, deep rumbling growl, more felt in the chest than heard with the ears, was the most dangerous sound Ethan had ever encountered. It was a clear, final warning. Ethan made himself small, instinctively averting his gaze and lowering his shoulders, showing respect and submission, not fear. He didn't want to challenge the silverback's authority. He wanted to communicate shared concern. A dominant father gorilla's threat display is a ritual to avoid conflict, but in a state of family distress, that ritual can turn lethal. Ethan took a slow, measured step forward. The father gorilla stopped pacing, his colossal body frozen. The confrontation hung heavy in the air. Then, the baby gorilla solved the dilemma. It ran back to Ethan, pulling frantically at his pant leg, completely ignoring the massive threat of its father. It was tugging Ethan into the danger, showing absolute trust in the man and urgent concern for whatever lay hidden. Ethan closed his eyes for a split second, placing his life entirely in the small hands of the gorilla infant, subscribed to witness the full weight of a silverback's loyalty when his family is threatened. The father gorilla remained a tense, powerful statue, his gaze burning into Ethan's soul. But the baby gorilla ignored the danger, pulling Ethan past the silverback's territory toward the shadowy rocks, finally revealing the grim truth. The baby gorilla pulled Ethan around the base of a large acacia tree, and toward the granite outcrop. The air here was damp, heavy with the smell of wet earth from the previous night's downpour. Ethan's blood ran cold. There she was, the mother gorilla. She was lying on her side, half hidden in the dense foliage near the base of the rock. A massive, jagged granite slab, clearly dislodged by the torrential rain, had slid down, pinning her left arm in a crevice. Her face was pale, and her breathing was shallow and ragged. Her eyes, glazed over with shock and pain, looked up at Ethan, silently begging for relief. Her arm was already swelling to a terrifying size. The circulation was clearly severed. Ethan immediately assessed the situation, and the truth hit him like a physical blow. The rock weighed easily half a ton. His small team could never move it. Even if the backup team arrived, they would first have to tranquilize the dominant father gorilla, a complex, time-consuming procedure, and then bring in heavy equipment. That process would take 20, perhaps 30 minutes. The mother gorilla didn't look like she had 5. She was losing her fight. Just then, a colossal presence loomed over them. The father gorilla had followed. He stood there, his scent filling the confined space, a mixture of musk and despair. He looked down at the trapped mother gorilla, then at Ethan, and let out a soft, mournful grunt. It was not a threat. It was pure, unadulterated grief. In that moment, the imaginary line between ranger and wild ape, between human and animal, utterly vanished. They were simply two males facing the imminent loss of a female they both cared for. Ethan looked directly into the father gorilla's eyes. It was the ultimate gamble, an act of extreme challenge and trust that could cost him his life. But all the fear was gone, replaced by a fierce, desperate determination. "I need your help," Ethan said, his voice quiet but steady. "We have to save her." He pointed to the massive rock pinning the mother gorilla's arm. Then he pointed to the silverback's immense, muscular arm, demonstrating the need for joint effort. He pushed against the slab himself, grunting with effort, showing the complete futility of his own strength. The father gorilla watched, his head cocked, his gaze shifting from Ethan to the rock to the helpless mother gorilla. The complexity of his thoughts, instinct, intelligence, and emotion was almost visible in his deep-set eyes. He understood the gesture. He understood the problem. If this powerful moment of shared grief touches your heart, leave a comment with your thoughts on animal intelligence. The scene froze on the father gorilla's reaction. With the father gorilla's giant, intelligent eyes still fixed on him, Ethan grabbed a thick, fallen branch, a makeshift lever, knowing that if the silverback attacked now, it would all be over. But what happened next proved the impossible bond forged in a shared moment of desperation. Ethan, praying, searched the ground and found a large, fallen tree branch, thick as his thigh. It was a pathetic lever for such a tremendous weight, but it was all he had. He quickly wedged the branch into a small gap beneath the rock slab. He strained, screaming silently with effort, but the wood only groaned. The half-ton rock didn't budge an inch. Suddenly, a massive, scarred, black hand, its knuckles thick from a lifetime of travel and asserting dominance, closed around the end of the very same branch. The father gorilla had joined him. He was silent. He simply wrapped his other powerful arm around a stable part of the main rock formation for anchorage, positioning himself perfectly opposite Ethan. He was committing. "Okay, big guy." Ethan breathed, his voice trembling with a mixture of terror and awe. "For my signal, push with me." Ethan looked at the silverback, gave a quick, decisive nod, and then threw his entire weight against the lever. At the exact same microsecond, the father gorilla unleashed a deafening, chest-pounding roar of pure, focused effort and heaved. The sheer power was biblical. The muscles on the silverback's back and shoulders bunched into mountains of solid, determined force. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The wooden log groaned, threatening to snap under the stress. For a terrifying, heart-stopping second, nothing happened. Then, with a deep, sickening, grinding screech of stone against stone, the massive slab shifted, just an inch. Again, Ethan yelled, quickly resetting the lever. They pushed again, a synchronized, desperate interspecies team. The rock shifted another vital inch. The mother gorilla let out a weak moan and tried to pull her arm, but the pressure was still too great. One more, move, Jabari. One more good one. For the third time, they combined their ultimate strength. Ethan's world narrowed to the straining wood, the heavy musk of the gorilla beside him, and the singular, shared goal of freeing the mother gorilla. This time, the rock shifted a full 6 inches, opening just enough a gap. With a final, pained whimper, the mother gorilla wrenched her arm free. She collapsed onto the damp ground, immediately cradling her mangled limb. The baby gorilla rushed to her side, clinging to her back and chittering with immense relief. Ethan stumbled backward, his legs turning to water, and fell into a sitting position on the earth. He stared, utterly breathless, at the two of them, the man and the ape, still holding the life-saving branch, their hearts pounding in unison. Stay with us for the emotional reward. The final look the father gorilla gives the ranger. The mother gorilla was safe, but the most profound part of the entire ordeal was yet to come, taking place in the quiet aftermath as Ethan fell back, utterly breathless, and met the eyes of the majestic silverback. Beside Ethan, the father gorilla stood panting, his massive chest heaving. The great ape looked down at the now conscious mother gorilla, then turned his immense head and looked directly at Ethan. There was no aggression in his gaze, no threat, no dominance display. There was only a deep, profound, and clear expression of understanding. He held Ethan's gaze for a long moment, and in that shared silence, a bond that had taken decades of careful interaction to build was forged into something absolutely unbreakable. The father gorilla gave a short, soft grunt, a sound of acknowledgement and undeniable thanks, before he turned away from the man and gently nudged the mother gorilla, checking on his mate. It was precisely then that the sanctuary's response team, armed with tranquilizer rifles and emergency gear, burst through the foliage. They stopped dead in their tracks, taking in the impossible scene. Ethan sitting on the ground, unharmed, mere feet from the entire gorilla family who were now huddled together, tending to their own. Ethan quickly radioed the veterinary team to prepare for the mother gorilla's transport to the modern veterinary station outside the savannah. This story isn't about breaking the rules. It's about the intelligence of the baby gorilla and the profound empathy of the father gorilla. The veterinary team later confirmed that the mother gorilla's arm was saved, but had they waited, she would have lost it or succumbed to shock. Ethan's decision, guided by a child's trust, proved to be the correct one. It is a powerful reminder that empathy, cooperation, and intelligence are not solely human traits. Trust, when truly given and honored, is the most powerful survival tool in the wild. This remarkable encounter shows us that our greatest connection with nature often requires us to put down our protocols and simply trust. If this incredible story moved you, share with one friend who needs a reminder that hope and connection are everywhere. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that redefine the relationship between humans and the magnificent wild.